Interesting evolution going on today. So I have a lot of gut reactions to things that have been very difficult to articulate because I needed more evidence in other contexts to support my gut reaction. Because sometimes you don't know your gut reactions are based upon something that's misaligned, but you can't articulate, you can't figure out what that misalignment is. And so it takes evolution, it takes understanding all the other contexts that are out there. So I've been lately studying the universe and the different belief systems regarding how life began, how the universe began, how Earth began. And so when I really just picked apart the universe when it comes to dark matter, antimatter, CERN, the theories that Fred Hoyle, like panspermia, and the theories of the Big Bang, and I really understood what the stars and the black holes and all of that, that's like a very macro level, micro level of understanding the bigger picture. And then looking at language and looking at all the different doctrines and dogmas and diets that are out there that depict a specific intention, but the word wizardry and the masters of illusion have sold a specific force like positive and negative, and they play in that duality game and they sell one force as if it was another force. So what am I trying to say? Well, let's take a look at the Bible. Now, I know this is very, very like controversial to some people who believe in the Bible like 100%. But the Bible has a very specific intention. It wants to depict a belief system that there's a beginning and then there's an ending. And so, yes, you see some scientists out there who actually do believe in the Bible and the Catholic and the Christian faith, and they think there's a beginning and there's an ending. And so that's where the Big Bang came from. So Fred Hoyle kind of came from an atheistic point of view and say, okay, there is no like God, so to speak. Everything is infinite. And life was seeded by the universe. And the life that was seeded by the universe was trying to find environments trying to find stable environments for it to be able to procreate. And so then there is this whole controversy. Well, is the Big Bang correct, or is Fred Hoyle correct? That we actually are in an infinite universe that has no beginning and has no ending. And so when you look at the different religions out there and the Bible, it is word wizardry. It is occultic. It is dropping so many seeds of spells of, yes, life, but also destruction. Now, you could say, well, it's a whole balance. But here's the thing. Yes, there's a balance. But if you think that there is a beginning and then there's an ending, then where does evolution come from? Oh, wait, that's like blasphemous. That's against the Bible and religion. No, evolution is how you're able to upgrade to the level of your environment. Evolution can also be working with the which is like a beginning and ending, but can still work in a static universe that supports that evolving entity. And so in my group, there was a little bit of a controversy because I said, hey, the Bible is word wizardry. The Bible is word wizardry because it comes from a good and evil perspective. And there are people there are people on my Facebook that have so many different accounts that will try to convert me to their cultic religion. Whether it's not necessarily organized religion, it's like their cults they've devised through their own gurus that they are like worshiping, and they have so many different accounts. And so when I get annoyed with their one account, then they go and switch to another account to try to get on my Facebook. And I'm like, oh my God. And so when I understand, the universe and the two different thought processes, Fred Hoyle and panspermia, and then the Big Bang, okay, then you look at the credit default swaps and the subprime mortgages, and you look at politics, religion, and science. When you bundle up so many different belief systems, okay, that have both positive and negative, and you sell it if it was a positive when it really actually has an intention of a negative, that's where the crisis of consciousness, that's where all the conflict comes from, because your gut knows that this politics and this religion and this science is really, trying to destroy you. But how can you articulate that when there's certain aspects of it are life-giving? So then I liken it to then when people try to pull out specific pieces of nutrition like vitamin D. Oh, I like vitamin D. It's so great. So I'm going to apply my body with all this vitamin D. And then guess what? You get hypercalcemia. You get then hypertension. Then you get potential heart attacks, and you get clogs up in your arteries and capillaries because of all that vitamin D turning into then calcium that then clogs your arteries and capillaries, and then you get heart attacks and strokes and all of that, right? And so I like it when someone, takes a parable that promotes their belief system, but it still depicts, a very dichotomous point of view of good and evil, and that's all relative to perception. And they pull out parables to support their beliefs. And they don't speak in their own language, and they're using their own words. Then they're actually promoting indirectly a good and evil, a beginning and an ending, basically the same stuff. So that's why humans keep repeating the same mistakes, because they keep taking the same doctrines, like the Bible, like politics, religion, and science, and they keep trying to shapeshift it into, using different words to have the same thing, but it's still the same premise. It's destruction, not really promoting evolution and calling, death as an evolution. Not necessarily. Yes, there must be a balance. But why is there so much suffering? Because you know innately that there is a promotion of something that's actually destructive, and when they're trying to sell it as a life thing, but it's actually a destructive process. When you're taking antibiotics and you're not promoting life in your body, that's destructive. But then you have this crisis of consciousness, which is cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and you wonder why people die. Well, that's why there's no immortality on this earth, because of the way doctrines and dogmas and diets, as well as the Bible, sell one thing, but really it actually inferences another thing. And it's very, very strategic, and it's word wizardry. And so this is why in my group, I don't want anyone dropping scripture in my group, because you're not owning your words. That's the whole point of Jilly Juice, is to own your existence, own your words, own your belief systems, not steal from somebody else's, because they may have an intention that you're not aware of because of the way in which they put the words together. And that's why I get annoyed with parables, riddles, and stories. You elevate what you mean to the common language, not turn it into some kind of superior jargon, secret society type of depiction, which I see out there. So many people try to subvert the English language and create all these nuances and all these different, inflections and intonations and incantations to seem like you're much better than somebody else. And then you still promote the same thing, which is basically death at some point. Oh yeah, but you like Jilly Juice, but you're all into the whole good versus evil, which is the same thing as the Bible depicting good versus evil, not balance versus unbalanced, but good versus evil, which is so subjective. And so that's why I don't want people quoting the Bible in my group, because it is so subjective and it has so much baggage, and there is an actual overall depiction with the Bible, which is there's a beginning and there's an ending, there's a life and there's a death, which yes, we know balance must exist, but it's balance versus unbalanced, because then what you're going to do is you're going to take somebody's lifestyle and promote a judgment on it and say, okay, well, if you act in this specific way and you have this specific belief system, then you're evil. And so then when you use words like all these biblical words like righteousness and rapture, and there are 50 words that there is a link that has 50 Bible words that can be subject to interpretation. And so when you're stealing from, the Bible to try to promote Jilly Juice, then you're actually doing a conflict. That's why I have conflict with anyone that promotes any kind of biblical verse, because yes, that parable may say promote life, but the overall bigger bundle, like the subprime mortgages being sold as AAA ratings. And then guess what? There is this whole crisis, the mortgage crisis, people losing their homes, people losing their livelihoods because they were defrauded by the mortgage industry, and the SEC and all the people that powers that be allowed it to happen. And so if you believe in life, then I want you to actually, in your own words, when I told somebody in my group, in your own words, tell me what exactly, paraphrase this Bible verse, tell me exactly. They couldn't do it. And let me tell you, they got really upset. They started dropping expletives. I'm like, oh my God, that is an uncalled for energy that is totally inappropriate. And so that person's off my page or out of my group. And then somebody else, which, okay, I get, then copy and pasted a specific parable that had the word righteousness, and it had the word, all these that depicted the good and evil. And they were just like, hey, and I'm just like, oh my God, but this person contributed so much to my world that I don't have the heart to delete this person. But I think he understands where I'm coming from. But then I have to find another metaphor to articulate where I'm coming from. And that is when you're selling a bundle as something amazing, like a trip. When you put you have 90% subprime mortgages in a bundle where you actually label it as AAA ratings and you sell it on the open market as if it was a great, risk, is credit worthiness, all that stuff. And you sell it like it's like a AAA rating. Then the end result is the outcome, the actual intention. Because look what happened. The subprime mortgage turned into the mortgage crisis, but they were defrauding people by actually labeling these bundles as AAA ratings. That's exactly what the Bible is. It's taking a bundle of basically subprime mortgages with a few parables that may be life promoting and selling it as if the whole intention is to be life promoting. And that's not, no. And that's also when you take apart a person's body and nutrition and you isolate one specific nutrition, say, hey, this is the greatest thing to mankind, but it's about balance. Jelly juice, when someone says, oh yeah, Alex Jones had these people that I love, I love their speakers, but Alex Jones has a bigger agenda. Yeah, you may have a few speakers that speak to your belief systems and everything and confirm your biases. Okay, great. But then, I love salt and I like jelly juice and I like jelly juice and salt and with the food supply. I'm not just isolating salt. I'm not just isolating this one parable. I'm not just taking this one speaker and saying, okay, now that is depicting all of what Alex Jones's intention. It's like people project what their beliefs are onto this specific thing, not realizing there's a bigger agenda going on. And then when they sell that specific package, everybody's going to have an interpretation on that package. But the outcome is then the intention. But I don't want to leave anything to interpretation. Say what you mean what you say. Stop speaking in parables, stop speaking in riddles, and stop speaking in stories. If you're going to, have a thought process, yes, you can use metaphors to help support your thought process so people understand, which is why I use the subprime mortgage and AAA ratings, the defrauding. Politics is the same thing. Democrats, oh yeah, we want to give people this, and that. They also have negative things too that goes on, in the Democrats and Republicans, but they sell a package. And then they slip in things that they want that are actually, diametrically opposed to the actual bigger picture. That's the whole deception of the marketing of bundles. What are these bundles and what are they made up of and how are they being sold and what's the actual outcome? See, that's why I say get out of all of your politics, religion, and science, like seriously. And you develop your own words, your own thought process. And even if it's aligned with mine, stop stealing from other doctrines that actually have a very different intention. And that's why I get gut reactions and I get so frustrated with those that still want to promote the good versus evil, that still want to pull out pieces of nutrition and sell it as if it was the only thing that you should be eating, this vitamin D, or only look at this parable as a representation of the whole thing, which it really isn't. Or taking, a subprime mortgage and say, okay, here's 9% subprime mortgage, but it's a AAA rating. No, it's not. They're completely diametrically opposed. What the hell? But that's a very advanced thought process once you actually get out of politics, religion, and science. I was raised Jewish, but I kind of got away from the Jewish religion. I had an issue with the Bible, and I didn't know what it was, but I had an issue with it. I couldn't articulate it, but I had an issue with it, and I had a lot of issues with it over the last however many years. And I dissected the Bible. I dissected the politics. I dissected the religions. I dissected the science. And then I have my own actual thought process with my own words that I put together, and even putting together combinations of words to then depict a different belief system, like immortality and indefinite life. And then understand the word wizardry. Those are spells and gifts and curses all mixed together. That's what the Bible is spells, curses, and gifts all mixed together. And if you can't discern between what's a curse and what's a spell and what's a gift, and you pull out the gifts but then ignore the spells, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, but you're trying to confirm your bias. You're trying to promote an agenda. You're trying to convert me. That ain't going to happen in my world. You got to look at the bigger picture, not just the cherry picking the little things out there. You have to understand the bigger picture. And that's why we're in this evolutionary reset, because people are not looking at the bigger picture. They just cherry pick their information, and then that's how they promote their agenda. And that's not what I'm about. And if you don't get that by now, then I don't know, man. There's a lot of evolving that needs to be done on this earth, and it's very difficult for those that are still stuck in the politics, religion, and science. I see it. I get it. If you can't own your words, you'll own somebody else's belief system. And I see it. It's so obvious, especially when you're when not even paraphrasing, when you're actually stealing someone else's words, word for word. And that's why I say it's very important that you get biophysically communicating in your body, and that will come out in your verbal and your written. And then you'll be innovative along with a little bit of regurgitation, but you'll be more innovative than regurgitating. But when you're dropping scripture and dropping parables and you're dropping, stories and riddles and all that crap, you're just regurgitating. That's more the same bullshit that and I'm swearing, yes. That's more the same crap that I'm just done with. I'm done with it. So this is, so I'm evolving as I'm writing. I'm evolving as I'm speaking on Facebook. I'm evolving as I am living. And I just give you guys the same opportunity, but some of you will resist the fuck out of it. Excuse my language, but you will resist it to no end because you are still stuck in the Bible, the religion, the politics, and all the different debatable science that's out there. You'll be stuck in the study of, but you'll never actually come to your own conclusion because that's not your intention to come to a conclusion. Your intention is to keep converting people into your beliefs. And it is what it is. But as long as we have some kind of intelligent conversation, without people dropping freaking expletives in my group, I'll say what I got to say on my Facebook page. But I tell you what, I mean, it's frustrating on my end. I know, John, John, you and I have had a lot of great alignment, and sometimes there's things we don't agree on, and that's fine. You can still cherry pick all your different parables on your page. That's great. But in my group, it's just own your words, choose your words, own your words, and innovate, evolve. If you get away from the Bible, which has its own different indirect intentions, and you actually just develop your words, like you have the ability, John. I don't know why you don't use it. Take whatever, like that's what they say, don't plagiarize when you're writing. You take what somebody's saying and you write and you use your own words. That's why there's laws against plagiarism. Because it's not your own thought process. You're taking somebody else's words. So then I go, so there's a strategy to it. I really want to say what they're saying, but I got to say it in my own way. And then I'll use, different thesaurus. Thesauruses are so important to have because that way you actually can dissect your own thought process and you're not then automatically parroting somebody else. That's the exercise that I'm doing right now with writing. It's like, oh my God, I love what this scientist has to say. I love what this scientist has to say, but I can't just repeat the same thing. I got to go and develop my thought process, develop my own putting together the words. And there's plenty of words out there. It's not like, we are like at a scarcity of words. There's so many words in the English language. It's unreal. You can have a thought process. Oh my God. And so writing will give you that ability to develop your own thought process without turning to plagiarism all the time. And people plagiarize the Bible all the freaking time. They do it every single day. And then it looks like they're a zombie. It looks like they're a robot because they have no thought process of themselves because they keep basically parroting, regurgitating. And so the next evolution is to stop regurgitating, stop parroting, and actually parrot terms and concepts and definitions, but an actual thought process, you develop your own. But it's very easy to see those that haven't developed their own thought process because it's so easy for them to plagiarize somebody else. And that's really what people, when they drop scripture, they plagiarize somebody else's thought process, not realizing all the words that are spells and they're righteous. That word righteous is such a spell. What makes you right? What makes you, all moral? What the hell is that? That's all depicting on, someone's, idea of what moral and righteous is. It's different for everybody. So you're just kind of speaking in this way where it's left to interpretation. Stop leaving your language to somebody else's interpretation. Mean what you say and say what you mean and be absolute about it. But when you speak in parables and riddles and stories, then you're just plagiarizing. So anyways, bye.